Hello, I'm Mrs. J, and welcome to my math class. Today we're going to talk about solutions to equations. When you have equations and they're giving you the whole solution and they want to know if it is one or not, just plug in the values and see if it works out. Remember that this would be our x and this would be our y, and then we plug them into the equation. So if we have y equals x squared plus 2x minus 1, and we want to check this, we plug this in wherever there's an x, and this for the y. So we want to know if 2 equals 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 1. And then you just simplify. We'll leave the 2. 1 squared is 1, plus 2 times 1 is 2 minus 1. And if we add these up, we get 3 minus 1, or 2 equals 2. So that would be a solution. Now to check the next one, we do the same thing, we plug it in. So we're plugging in negative 5 equals negative 2 squared plus 2 times a negative 2 minus 1. So we want to see if this will give us the negative 5. Negative 2 squared, a negative 2 times a negative 2 is a positive 4. 2 times negative 2 is a negative 4 minus 1. Well, 4 minus 4 cancels and just leaves negative 1. So this is not a solution. This one, yes, it is a solution. If we look at the next group, no solution. Not a solution? No, it's not a solution. The next one, they're giving us the x values, we need to find the y values. So you just plug it in and simplify. So if we have x equals 0, and we want to find y, we just plug it into this equation. Y equals a negative 0 squared plus 3 times 0 plus 2. Now when you have a polynomial, you always end up with a constant. Because this is 0 plus 2 gives us 2. So our point, and be careful, if they want the y value, y equals 2. If they ask for the point, it's the point 0, 2. So you do want to make sure that you answer it correctly. What was the other one? Negative 1. When we have negative 1, we first plug it in. And if you notice, every time I'm plugging in, I'm putting it in parentheses. That helps to make sure you don't make a mistake. But also, when you're plugging in more than once, then you know right where they go. Be careful here. Remember, follow order of operations. You need to do your exponent first. So you have to do negative 1 squared, then times this one, negative. So negative 1 squared is 1, times this negative makes it a negative 1. This is where you'll have the most mistakes. So it should be a negative 1. 3 times negative 1 is a negative 3 plus 2. Adding them up, we have negative 4 plus 2, or negative 2. And if they want it written as a point, then we plug in negative 1. Negative 1, negative 2. But it's not always a nice polynomial. Sometimes the equations will be more quantity-like. something like that. And so if we want to know what y equals when x equals, we'll do 0, then you need to plug it in and solve it. So they're not always polynomials. So you need to do inside the parentheses first. We'd have 1, here would be a -3 and a 2. Positive times a positive times a negative times a positive is a negative. 2 times 1 times 3 is 6, times 2 is 12. So y equals a -12. Let's try another one. So if we have x cubed minus x squared, and we want to find out what y is when x is -2, we need to plug it in. So when we go to do this, -2 cubed, negative times a negative times a negative is a negative. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So to start with, we have a -8. Here we have -2 times a -2, which is a +4, times this negative makes it a -4, which when we add them gives us a -12. So we have -2, -12. But that's all the two solutions to equations. Thank you. Okay. Do I have more time? Can I do another? Stop, stop, stop.